All right, what's happening, people? All right, Puddin' has been on me for a while now to do the backstory to Willow. So, okay, here it is, man. I had this piece of music. Gosh, this goes all the way back to probably 1990, maybe 89, when we were all living at the barn up there in Forsyth, Georgia, Trevitt's old farmhouse, and we lived in that milk barn that had been converted into that apartment in the back. I remember writing Willow at the farm. It was the summer, probably maybe of 89. Couldn't even maybe have been 90. But I had this little bluesy riff, this piece of music. It's in G minor. All right, so the whole thing's a blues tune in G minor. And out there on the farm, this is where the whole idea came from. In the front yard of the farmhouse, right in front of the building where we lived, there was a giant weeping willow tree that they had there. And they were all over that property. And as you went down behind the barn, there was a fishing pond down there below with the cows used to drink out of. And all the way around that pond were these really beautiful weeping willow trees. And somehow I saw that, the weeping willow, and got the idea to just kind of metaphorically use it as a symbol for, for a broken heart or somebody longing for some place that they can't find. Why is willow weeping? Kind of like a mystery, everybody's trying to figure out why it is. So here's the gist of the whole song. Basically, the whole premise is about somebody telling me one time when I was young, when I started the band, oh, that'll be nice for a while. You're going to run around, travel, play all over the place, and you're like a leaf blowing in the wind, and someday you're going to want to settle down. If you don't, you're going to end up being lonely and all alone. So, keep flitting around out there on the wind your whole life, and you're going to end up by yourself. I don't remember who it was that told me that, but that's the basics. That's the basic idea for the first part of the verses. A wise one once said to young Willow, "Take to the earth, not to the wind, or you'll be lonely when you're older, yourself to blame for the fix you're in." So that went in one ear and out the other. Next verse, well, Willow could never listen. Willow is basically the protagonist in the song, which is me in this point, about not listening. He had to know the reasons why. I wanted to go see what's over the next horizon. The grass is always greener on the other side. I wanted to travel and see the world. Too far gone to change his thinking. Never turned his head when he said goodbye. Like, all right, that's great. I'm gonna go do this. And then it breaks into the fast part. The back end of the song is kind of more telling the story about, for years he danced out on the wind. Never once would he lay his head. Just we were gone all the time. And it's really an autobiographical story. The first years of the band, when we were traveling all the time, playing every gig we could, all over the place. Just we didn't pass up anything. We took anything we could get. So that first verse in the fast part, for years he danced out on the wind. Never once would he lay his head. Never called out to his lover. What she didn't hear, he never said. Important part there, because personal lives and relationships tended to stay in turmoil or just disaster for us when we were young, because we were gone all the time. And I've told you guys we were touring 260 or 70 days a year. We were never around. I mean, that took a incredible toll on your relationships. It did. And expecting anyone to put up with that for any serious length of time, when we were just, there were no cell phones, no laptops, no easy way to keep in touch with somebody, because you had to stop and use the payphone. So it wasn't easy. So my personal life seemed to stay in shambles, which is kind of what that third verse is about. And then the last verse kind of comes full circle. It's like, okay, he's chased that dream. He's gone and done this. And like, don't worry, honey, when all this is said and done, I'm going to be right here on the farm. When you wake up from under this willow tree, I'm going to, I'll still be right here. So it kind of has a, happy ending to it, that, the dynamic of that relationship or whatever it was, makes it, and that in the end, that's what you have, and no one had to sacrifice a dream or give something up to still have that moment, which I certainly heard that a lot in my earlier career, where I'm not going to be second in your life, to music, and I'm like, well, who's keeping score was always my comment back to that. I'm like, incredibly selfish in some of our relationships when all we can see is that what we want out of them. I mean, I would never tell somebody, hey, don't go pursue something that you're really passionate about, that you want to go do, just because it doesn't serve me. And I heard that a lot, and I blew that right off. I'm like, I'm not listening to that. So Puddin', I know you wanted to hear that. So really, in a nutshell, it's a long jam, had all kinds of cool musical sections in it, but it was based out of a G minor blues progression I wrote about flying around out there on the wind the whole life until some point you want to settle down, and that's kind of what it's about. So I hope that shed a little bit of light on the backstory of Willow.